Today we have an Escape from Tarkov headset comparison video for you, and we learned quite a few things that oppose the conventional knowledge from previous videos that headset selection is just subjective to the user's hearing and preference. We learned quite a few new things while getting footage for this video, not the least of which was that there are three very clear winners in the realm of hearing distance for headsets. Before we get into those three and the discoveries we made about what makes you easier to hear, please don't forget to like, comment, and slap that subscribe button like it's a buckshot scab trying to cheeky all your breekies. Let's get into what we found in Tarkov headset audio and how we tested these headsets. Keep in mind that this testing was done on my second account, which doesn't have max perception, but rather about a 20 perception skill. We tested with and without compression, with and without EQ, and even went as far as to have a different player compare the distances with their own ears and a whole different system, and got similar, if not identical, results. Let's briefly talk about what we tested, but omitted from the results. We began testing wanting to check not only running audio detection, but walking, crawling, and on top of that, we wanted numbers at varying levels of encumbrance to see if there was a difference. It turns out there's no difference at all between slow walking with all encumbrance levels and no encumbrance. We were able to detect the audio at exactly the same distance no matter what the weight load when the target was slow walking. This was around 29 to 35 meters depending on the headset, and this helped shorten our testing process, so this was omitted for the remaining 7 headsets after establishing it was consistent on the first 2. There was a marginal difference between moving at a normal walking speed while encumbered versus unencumbered. Generally speaking, there was a 3 to 4 meter increase in detection range when you were walking encumbered compared to unencumbered, and this was consistent across the first few tests, so we omitted that as well. If you want to know what your detection radius is while being encumbered and walking normally, just add 4 meters to the unencumbered walking number you're going to see in the sheet. Prone crawling also, same effect. Regardless of weight, you're detectable around the same distance, which is about 40 to 45 meters depending on the headset. Alright, on to the good stuff. The most interesting thing we discovered was something so crazy we have to make a separate video for it, so if you want to find out why helmets are probably crippling your hearing way more than you think, be sure to hit that sub button and catch the next video. It'll be coming out real soon after this one. We found out there is a pretty huge detection radius disadvantage to being encumbered. The radius at which your footstep audio can be heard increases drastically once you've reached any encumbered status. Being encumbered even just by 1 kilo is going to add 10 to 20 meters to your audio detection radius depending on your opponent's headset. To make matters worse, as you eat up additional amounts of your carry weight, you start to become louder within that radius. The strange thing is that there's not much of a difference in the distance at which you can be heard when you weigh, say, 70 kilos versus 50 kilos, but you're far more louder the heavier you get. For example, running at 70 kilos, your audio only comes in 1 meter sooner than it does at 50 kilos, but it's far louder once it reaches that distance than 50 kilos. Conversely, running unencumbered comes in very gradually from the max ranges of detection as opposed to a lot of it all at once, like when you're encumbered. It's going to be very easy to miss the initial sounds of running while unencumbered in ambient or gunfire until it gets a lot closer. It was actually pretty difficult for us to gauge exactly when we were hearing things at the edges of the detection ranges, and we had to do quite a few tests over and over again just to make sure that we weren't imagining the audio. This was even more true with the walking test. You may have noticed that the detection range for walking and unencumbered running are not that far apart if you've already looked at our sheet, but it was way more difficult to hear the walking sounds at the edge of the detection range than the running sounds. So they would be even harder to hear over any ambient noise you have or perhaps your own footsteps. So to summarize the findings, there are in fact differences in detection radiuses between headsets. Running while encumbered is far more risky than running unencumbered, especially in high traffic areas. Being 70 kilos versus 50 kilos doesn't make much of a difference in radius, but you are a little louder. Walking has a 10 to 20% smaller detection radius than running while unencumbered, and generally a 40% better reduction in detection radius than running overweight. Running while unencumbered has approximately a 15 to 25 meter reduction in detection radius when compared to running while encumbered. Slow walking has a 40% reduction in the detection radius over normal walking. And crouch slow walking still makes absolutely no sound at this point. I'm pretty sure it's broken. When you're crouch walking over glass, wood, you can actually hear yourself making noise on your screen, but the noise that's coming out of your character is substantially reduced. It is very faintly there, but it is almost never going to be picked up by anyone that isn't standing literally right right next to you or has any sort of ambient noise going on at all. It is extremely quiet. Now that we've gone over those findings, let me talk about each headset individually. The detection ranges will be posted on a Google Sheet in the description of the video. And remember, if the video helped you or the sheet, please comment, sub, and like the video to support the channel and future Tarkovology videos. The worst headset was a pretty big shock to me. The Comtac 2s were my main headset prior to this update because of the high ambient noise reduction and the relatively low cost. This ambient noise reduction was the third highest, and it's only passed by the Rack and the Comtac 4s, but its detection radiuses are horrible. The only category that this headset beat the GSSH in was the unencumbered walking distance, and that might just be due to the higher ambient noise reduction. I don't really know. Sad day for the Comtac 2s. I do know that the first thing I did after making this video was vendor every single pair I had. Next, and still in the D tier, we have the GSSH headset. It was very slightly better at running detection, but it's still nearly 10 meters behind our next best headset at the bottom of the C tier, the M32s. I know this is going to hurt some streamers and Chad's feelings, but the M32s are not good, specifically in the unencumbered running detection. In fact, the only thing keeping these out of the D tier range is the range for encumbered running detection. In the early wipe, these will be slightly better than the GSSHs for that reason alone, since everyone has low strength and is likely encumbered fairly quickly. Rounding out the C tier, we have two very close headsets in the Sordins and the Razors. The Razors have a slight edge over the Sordins due to the higher unencumbered running detection radius, but most of the other categories were the same or very close. A solid B tier effort from the TacSports, which was also a surprise. At 76 meters, these have a decent range for encumbered running, and actually has a similar unencumbered running detection radius to the A tier headsets. This is a solid cost-effective option if you do not want to pay for the A or the S tier. Our two A tier headsets are close, but the Rack takes the A tier because of its higher ambient reduction, which probably allowed us to hear the unencumbered walking 3 meters sooner than the XCEL headset. They both allow you to hear encumbered runners at a staggering 84 meters away, which is huge. Of course, coming out on top, and to nobody's surprise, the Comtac 4 headset is our S tier. The Comtac 4 enjoyers get a whopping 91 meter encumbered running detection radius. Keep in mind, all these figures do not take into account any occlusion for objects or doors, but this is just an insane difference from the lower tier headsets to the top. We're talking a difference of 34 meters. Just to give you an idea for comparison, if you're wearing, say for example, a GSSH or a Comtac 2, and you come up the stairs of IDEA, your hearing radius goes from approximately where you're standing to the back of the shelves in the aisle just behind the registers. However, if you have Comtac 4s, or your opponent does, his audio detection goes 34 meters past yours, which is about the equivalent of the back of the computer room door. Well, there you have it. Hopefully I've helped clear up any confusion on the headsets after this recent update, and if you have any questions, shoot them into the comments below. I'm super interactive, I'll always answer, and if you have an idea for something you want tested on the next Tarkovology video, throw it in there too. Don't forget to check out our Twitch stream most evenings from 6 p.m. PST to 10 p.m. PST, and of course, do the things with the buttons down there, and until next time.